In this module, we're going to take a look at the last of the CIS control sets, which is CIS Control 20, pen tests and red team exercises, and this is the first in the module series. So this is the entire set of CIS controls, and now we've reached the version 7 control set. We're talking about control number 20, penetration tests and red team exercises. And we use penetration testers and penetration testing plans in order to execute this particular control. Control number 20.1, establish a penetration testing program. First of all, we need to establish a penetration testing program, and we need to make sure that we know how and what the assets are which will be subject to the pen testing. We need to make our management aware of this. We need to allocate a budget, and we need to establish the mechanism by which this penetration testing will be done, either inside the organization or a third-party penetration testing company, and what is the frequency of this penetration testing. So lots of companies like our company, Delta Tech, is available to perform the penetration testing, and usually this skill set is not available inside the organization. So establish a program for penetration tests that includes a full scope of blended attacks, such as wireless, client-based, and web application attacks. Control 20.2, conduct regular internal penetration tests to identify vulnerabilities and attack vectors that can be used to exploit enterprise systems successfully. Now, inside the program, as you can remember, inside the organization, we are already implementing the 4-layer security transformation methodology. And if you remember, layer 1 is security hardening, layer 2 is vulnerability management. And the international best practice is to scan with the help of vulnerability assessment, with the help of your Qualys or Nessus or other scanner, to scan each IT asset, irrespective if it's wireless access point or a switch or a router or a database or a server or a computer. Whatever it is, it needs to be scanned every week, and it needs to be fixed. The vulnerability needs to be fixed every week. This is the international best practice, and that needs to be done. Now, all of that vulnerability scanning and patching is being done. However, there will still be some vulnerabilities that you may not be able to find or your system has not reported, and those vulnerabilities should be detected with the help of penetration testing, and it should be reported by a professional penetration tester. So we need to conduct regular external and internal penetration tests to identify vulnerabilities and attack vectors that can be used to exploit enterprise systems successfully. 20.3, perform periodic red team exercises. So perform periodic red team exercises to test organizational readiness, to identify and stop attacks, or to respond quickly and effectively. Now, penetration tests usually have a start date and an end date, and it's usually a part of a project. But the difference between red team exercise and penetration test is that the red team exercise usually, or preferably, the time of engagement should be continuous, so it should not stop. And the mechanism is that there's a red team which is trying to simulate an attacking organization, and there's a blue team which is trying to simulate a protecting or a defense capability. So the red team attacks and the blue team tries to defend. And these two teams work in tandem, and the red team activity can be outsourced to a professional penetration testing organization as well, which is a third-party vendor. So the red team exercise is also very helpful. Usually what happens is that many types of changes are taking place in the organization on a very frequent basis. And if you are performing the vulnerability assessment with the help of a vulnerability scanner, and even if you are doing certain projects once or twice or 4 times a year, let's say once every quarter, and you are doing a pen test exercise for a fixed scope, but still there will be lots of things left, and those may not be covered under the scope of the penetration testing. So the scope of the red team exercise should be A, continuous, and it should not be a start and a stop with a limited scope. It should be continuous. B, the scope should be unlimited, so the red team exercise should be allowed to go ahead and penetration test or evaluate the security vulnerabilities in any asset exposed or inside the organization, even with the help of social engineering. And the third mechanism, which usually helps to differentiate from the standard penetration test, is that the red team exercise should be allowed and authorized to try and exploit the vulnerability so it can actually get inside the organization, and then it can show the evidence that it has broken into the system by showing a screenshot or showing the server login screen, or something like that. 20.4, include tests for presence of unprotected system information and artifacts. So include tests for the presence of unprotected system information and artifacts that would be useful to attackers, including network diagrams, configuration files, older penetration test reports, emails or documents containing passwords or other information critical to system operation. So we need to make sure that such types of information and artifacts which an attacker could be looking for and will be very helpful for an attacker, we need to protect those and make sure that those are also not discovered. That's all that we have for this module. Thank you.